Hi, I'm Peter, and this old chap is British General James Grant, not to be confused with our 18th President, General Grant. The hill where this Grant was defeated in the French and Indian War was known as Grant's Hill, and later became Pittsburgh's very famous street called, you guessed it, Grant Street. I feel like no matter where I try to get to in the city, I always end up passing through Grant Street with all of its tall, important looking buildings. But Grant Street wasn't always this way. In fact, it was once considered the chokehold of Pittsburgh. We'll get to that. For now, back to the old general. General James Grant was a British general in the French and Indian War. He and his 800 men, made up of mostly militia and some British officers, were assigned to see what's what with the French and their fort, which bears a name that few outside of Pittsburgh can pronounce and almost no one can spell. Fort Duquesne, Fort Duquesne, Fort Duquesne. You know what it's called, but unfortunately for Grant, he lost the Battle of Fort Duquesne, and he and 18 of his men were captured by the French in 1758. He was paroled soon after, and when pressed by the Brits on why he had such a horrible defeat, he admitted he was in way over his head, had no wilderness experience, and took personal responsibility for the loss of 342 of his men. I'm just kidding. He blamed it all on the militia for not following his orders. Okay, so fast forward almost 100 years later, and the city was really growing, and also really growing tired of this mound, or hump, as they called it, Grant's Hill, right in the middle of their bustling new prosperous city. So over the next 78 years, and 3 attempts, and today's equivalent of $22.5 million, plus another $70 million for property damage, the city finally managed to regrade the hump. In fact, if you look closely at some of the older buildings on Grant Street, you'll notice that portions of the building that used to be their basements now serve as entryways on street level. It's pretty nifty. But where did all that dirt from the hump go? Well, next time you're standing on Shenley Plaza or visiting the Henry Clay Frick Fine Arts Building, know that the dirt you're standing on used to be part of an inconvenient hill, named after a disastrous general that cost the city millions of dollars to remove, but became one of the most well-traveled, well-known streets in Pittsburgh that we often take for granted. And now Grant Street is a road you know. See you next time.